the road, although it's now known as Dogleap Road, it was known just locally, called it the Green Lane, and that you'll find is attached to the linen industry of the Roe Valley. The area here is very rich in the past to do with the flax, and in those early days, flax was the main product that was produced in the Roe Valley. That in turn, of course, as we know, produced Irish linen that was so both valuable and well known throughout the country. But to produce the Irish linen, you had to have the buildings like the weaving shed and the beetling shed, to have two that we can mention. And the fields around here where the linen was laid out to bleach. And that's quite common throughout the different areas where you have the River Roe was instrumental in that all coming together because the water power was available. And here we have the Roe Valley, the Green Lane, and all the buildings that are associated with that industry. There's a wee story as well when we bought the building, and it, unfortunately, as I said, there had been a fire, and fire can have a damaging effect on the walls and the construction. And we got our engineers from the road service to come along and inspect it, and they inspected the building, and lo and behold, the inspection turned out that they said this building should be demolished. We don't recommend that it can be restored, and we will replace you with a modern building on the site. Now, my boss, who was mentioned, Ian McQuiston, and I both had an interest on all the buildings, and so we've named some of them, like the beetling shed, which is convenient to it as well. And the easiest thing would be to demolish it and build again, but we insisted that this has to be held on to, it has to be restored. If we remove that, you remove the part of the history of the valley and of the area. So the engineers, they listened to what we had to say and tore up the original thoughts and came back with plans to how we could possibly put this together. But they were only working on the ground floor, and we kept going on up, and then it came to putting on the roof on it and ending up with 2 floors, and that's how we ended. So, but we wanted to, the floor of this here building would have been, when we came there would have been no floor here, it was open to the sky. And I had been aware that I'd seen this stone used in another building, not in this locality, but in another area. And I made inquiries about it and discovered that it came from, it was known as Liscannor stone, and it came from a quarry outside Galway. I, on my holidays, took a drive around to discover that surely there were men still there making up the stone and turning it into slabs that could be used for buildings. And with getting permission again to purchase the stone, and we got a number of lorry loads of this stone carted here to the Roe Valley, and the men with their chisels used this Liscannor stone on what we're standing on now, and it has become very natural, and you would think that it had always been there,
Well, they weren't enjoying it just to an empty shed, so how come it's so full of artefacts?
Well, this building, it was vacant at the time, and as I was about to there say about the Queen's Jubilee in 1977, I think it was, that it was taking place. The local council had opened excuse me, one of the rooms in the town for people to bring along items from the Roe Valley that would have been in use during the Queen's reign of her early days. And they found that they had a massive interest in people bringing items along, and that was open to the public for the rest of the year. Then something cropped up, and they said, we've informed the public that anybody that left items, you can come and collect them now. We're closing this particular event down. And people said, we don't want those back, you can keep them. And they had a problem. And I seized on it by saying, well, we have a building here in the country park, and I think we could make use of it to attract, it would be an attraction for the people coming to the park, and we could display the items of the past along with we had other items outside, but these were all going to be inside. And here today, you'll see many or most of the items that originated from that display that the council started in the early 70s of items from the Roe Valley. Schools were a big attraction here to the park, outward bound, and to use the paths for orienteering and to learn about the environment. And equally, a visit to the museum when they would come was always top of their list as well, where they could see things that their parents or grandparents had made use of, or hear them talking about, and they in turn were very interested. The generations of people, the older ones coming in, take pleasure in telling their young ones maybe how they would have worked. I'm just looking there at a churn, and it was common in most farms where they had to churn the milk to get the butter, and the milk for what ended up was buttermilk for bacon. And they would have had maybe at the time they felt it was a burden standing turning the churn, and they would tell their next generation about how they had to work at this and provide the milk and the butter. As time goes on, I think it should get more interesting and more of the past, because the whole of the Roe Valley contains buildings and contains items of the past. So this is just another aspect of it. It's a pleasure in being able to both see it still made available, and feeling that we had something we have contributed to the benefit of people when they visit the Roe Valley.